All right, what's up? It's Ruben from TG, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about why candlesticks and price action aren't enough to enter a trade the right way. Okay, this is really, really important because there's a lot of traders out here who think price action is everything, and even though it's important to some degree, it's not everything. And I'm going to discuss on how to do it better. Okay, so let's get into this. So here's the article that I wrote. I said, I've seen a lot of traders use price action and candlestick patterns, thinking it gives them an edge. Okay. I've used it myself. I've marked pre-market highs, watched for breakouts, waited for candle closures, all of it. I've done all of that. Okay. But after years of real experience and deep testing, here's the truth. Price action alone will not give you consistent high probability entries. Okay. I'm going to show you something real quick. Let's see what QQQ is here. A lot of folks right now we're shorting QQQ as of right now. I believe we already scored. It was just a small trade, but it was a fun one though. We shorted 522 puts, 0 DTE right now, 0 DTE, 30%. Sold majority holding one contract, right? And a lot of traders right now are looking at price action for this, like this kind of candlestick pattern. Oh, it's a doji candle. It's got somewhat of a high volume. I don't even think price action traders actually even look at volume. They just look at the pattern. They think that this says something. And even though it might say something, but there's other things that require, like, there's context to this. You got to have context. It can't just be this standalone thing. Okay. This entry, some folks may be like, this is an entry. This is not an entry. Okay. You need to know where key levels are. You need to understand where hedging pressure is going to be at. Where's volume? But you need context. All right. So in this post, I'm going to show you why it's not enough. Okay. So what you can do about it, and then how to use Gextron to enter trades the right way every single day. Okay. Let me show you something as well too. Okay. This is, oh, why is it not showing up? There we go. All right. This is our wins. Okay. This is our wins. We use Gextron to figure out key levels and to help us with our entries. And that has a much greater say than just price action alone. We'll use price action analysis, but it has to be in the right areas. Okay. It can't just be in some weird random price level spot. We need context. And then we will also look at volume. So here, for example, my God, 12%, 33%, 122% return on a firm. Okay. I mean, he's just banking. Gextron works. Okay. So he uses price action analysis, but he pairs it with option tape and unusual option flow. Okay. That is how he's winning. That is how he's winning here. Okay. Aaron, Tesla, same thing. We use Gextron to figure out key levels. Okay. Siraj increased his whole portfolio by his small account by 25%. It was higher too, 58%. Wow. But he's up 25% using Gextron, okay? Because he's using the key levels, which uses the option Greeks, which is a much better context than just price action traders. So my point is, so far to this video, is that if you're trading just off of price action candlesticks alone, you're gonna get screwed. You may think right now that this is a bounce, this doji, and guess what? It's actually breaking down. I'm gonna give you a heads up. We're actually aiming for this level right here, P trans 520. Okay, the trade is up 33% right now. We took majority of the profits. We have one contract left. Okay, so we have a trailing stop loss too. So it's important to have stop losses. All right. So step one, everyone marks the same levels. Okay, let's be honest. Almost every trader is drawing yesterday's high, lows, pre-market's high and lows, the 5-minute opening range, what do they call the orb strategy? If everybody's marking the same thing, theoretically, everybody would be rich. Everybody would be making money. It wouldn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't work that way. Everybody would be rich. And actually, profits would probably dry up. Okay, just marking a level doesn't tell you who's in control. Sure, price may bounce, but it may reject. But unless you know why, it's reacting. Okay, whether it's real money or just noise, you're trading on a guess. And guess what? Oh, guessing doesn't work in the market built on billions of dollars of institutional flow. All right. You think if you ever go to like some quant firm and you tell them it's a doji candlestick, they're gonna laugh at you. You gotta use math models. There are things called like non-traditional risk measurements, things like color gamma. So that's like how much theta decays on gamma, which then affects delta, which then affects how market makers have to hedge their position, whether they need to buy or sell the underlying stock price, because they're providing liquidity to you. Wow, we're up 54%. There we go. This is all live right here. I gotta notify that group right now. 54%. 54%. Take your money. 54% selling my runner. This is good. This is a good trade. Like there's nothing else that we need to do. Done trading for the day. One contract left at 54%. We'll take it. There you go. More than likely, this is going to go to P-trans level, but that's okay. All right, going back to the video. So price action is not a system, okay? People say, look at the candle. It has a long wick. That means buyer stepped in. Or it broke the level. Now wait for a retest and candle to close below. It sounds good in theory, but let's break that down. What does like these are real questions that you have to ask yourself, right? What does strong price action really mean? Does it mean that the body is 70% more of the candle? Is the wick size, is it twice the size? Volume spike 2 times? What is it, right? These are questions you got to ask. No one defines it. Everyone just feels it. And that's not a system. That's a trap. All right. If you start seeing signals that aren't there, you enter too early or too late. And the worst part, you blame yourself when it fails, even though the system was never clear to begin with. Okay. This is really important. Look at this. Okay. Let me show you something here. One, it's important to have key levels. Know the key levels. Okay. Understand if we're above the key bullish transition or not. Is the market bullish sentiment? Actually, let me show you. Let me show you QQQ. Let me pull it up here. Oops, Gextron. I'm not a fan of zero DTEs, but I could trade them. I got no problem. Okay, are we bullish? Look, Gextron just tells you right off the bat, hey, we're very call dominated. You know what that means? That means that market makers are going to be pretty bullish right now. They're going to influence the stock to go up. It doesn't mean that just because it's coming down doesn't mean it can't go any higher. It can bounce somewhere at this level, maybe at 520, right? So, okay, next, the thing I want to show you is this doesn't mean anything, right? You need to add context. Volume is low. It's low. So that means that this bounce was a fake. A lot of folks, maybe me yourself, you take it to the upside, and guess what? You got trapped, right? All you did was get taken out. You need to have context. Look at volume. Look at the time and sales widget. Look at the option flow. Okay, let's look at the option flow data. We got puts coming in, right? Very short dated too. 11 days to expiration, 18 days, 1 day, right? Look at the flow. Look at the tape. You got to look at this stuff. That was a great trade. Look at that. If I would have held longer, that would have been nice. Okay. Now with that said, let's take a look at let's go back to the article here. Waiting for confirmation doesn't solve it. I hear it all the time. Just wait for the candle to close. That's a confirmation. That's not confirmation. Okay? And what I mean by that is that a lot of traders say this. They're like, hey, like if price action closes below this level, then it's bearish. Or if it stays above it, it's bullish. So a lot of folks would have been bullish, right? But guess what? It fell, right? That would have been a failed trade. You would have gotten taken out. So there's more context to it. It's a lot of things put together, and that creates a thesis. And when you have that thesis, then you just follow the plan, right? But if you're just trying to make a thesis out of one variable, it doesn't work. Okay. But what if the close is, again, a low volume into a dealer hedge zone right before an option wall or gamma trap, right? These are things that you have to take into consideration. Now you're entering a trade that's technically perfect, but structurally weak. And this is where most traders get stuck. They follow a pattern, follow the rules, and still lose because the price action didn't tell them the full story. So, what is missing? Here's what price action doesn't show you: where dealers are hedging based on option premium and option flow. Not just dealers, but also institutional level. Where institutions are offloading size in dark pools, okay? Have dark pools or option flow data, right? How volatility is compressing before an actual breakout. You got to take a look at things like implied volatility. Is implied volatility increasing or is it shrinking? Okay. What does that do with the expected move? Okay. At least by an expiration date, right? Which levels are liquidity traps designed to bait retail traders? Again, like we like to look at volume, liquidity, right? Where are high volume candlesticks? What's mitigated? What's not mitigated? These are all things to take into consideration. If you don't have that data, then you're just, again, reacting to price. But with Gextron, you anticipate pressure before price even shows it, right? So that's the whole thing with Gextron. It really makes it easy for you. Like, you don't got to do any thinking. You just got to look at where the big bar's at, and that's where I'm going to play at, okay? It's just that simple. It doesn't get more complicated than that. So how I actually enter a trade right away using Gextron, right? First, when I'm looking for high probability trades, here's what I like to do. I like to open Gextron, okay? We like to see like what's going on with the key levels, right? I think that's what I wrote. I said I check the real liquidity zones, not just lines on charts, but zones that have confirmed hedging activities. We want to, so Gextron does it really simple, right? It's like, where are the tall bars? That's all you got to look for here. I can't stress that enough. It's that simple because a lot of people are like, I don't understand how to use it. It's really easy. Just look for the tall bars. Tall bar here, tall bar there, tall bar here at 518, right? Tall bar at 530. Awesome. These are key levels. And all you got to do, is just mark them. You mark them on your charting tool right here, right? This is a 1 minute time or a 5 minute time frame, so it's a different play. But you just mark them. You see there's one here, 520, 519. These are key levels for us that Gextron tells us. Okay, next. I like to watch how price is going to interact with these zones. So for example, right now, we are falling with a lot of volume, right? Look at that. Strong volume. I should have held to those 522 puts. And then you see here, we're about to reach this P-trans level. P-trans is it's like the final support zone if it's coming towards it. So what I want to do is I want to see what happens. You know, does it bounce? Does it break below? Does it wick off? Okay, that's price action analysis. But then I also want to take a look at, is volume going up? Is it bouncing off of weak volume? I'm trying to give it context. I cannot make a decision just off of price action alone. And if any trader tells you that this is how you need to only pay attention to price action candlestick patterns, they're missing the bigger picture here. Okay? Because they would have told you, hey, there's a wick here. Let's try a call. And then guess what? You would have gotten taken out. Okay? So no good. All right, next. You wait for the GEX levels and the flow alignment before stepping in, right? So next thing I want to do is like, okay, we're going to hit this level. I want to see if there's any unusual activity happening at these levels. If I want to take it for calls around this level, are we getting calls at this spot price and aggressive buying, right? Are we seeing green text or red text? Are we seeing green backgrounds? This represents aggressive buying. Oh, this is for puts, so that was aggressive selling for puts. But we want to see that for calls, right? I need context. Okay. So no more staring at candles hoping for clean retest. Okay, the whole retest stuff doesn't work. No more guessing if the wick means buyers are strong. No more wondering why perfect setups get reversed. What to do if you're still using candles alone. And again, I'm not saying that price action is useless. It's very important to understand price action. But if it's the only thing you're using, then it's like trying to win a race with a flat tire. Here's what you can do right now, right? Add volume context. I don't know how many times I've seen traders not have the volume context here. At least do that. At least that way you can put price action and volume together. That alone is a strong combination. Okay, because if price is coming down here and you see strong volume rising, then it's a strong selling zone, right? That's strong. If you see price going down but with low volume, that could be, that could tell you that sellers are getting exhausted. So pay attention to things like that. Study how implied volatility and gamma flows affect movement. Very, very important, right? You got to see, we have a tool here called Vanna exposure. And Vanna exposure really in a nutshell tells you what strikes are magnets and what strikes are repellents, right? So if we reach a repellent zone, let's just say 520, then it might start repelling back to the positive side. But if price action goes a bit past it, then it might start repelling it all the way down to 515. Okay, so this is really important. That's including Vega. The Vanna exposure is just Vega exposure. That's what it is. Okay. Next, track every trade and review the real reason why it works. So it's really important to just kind of review your trades and see what worked and what didn't work. You always have to not meditate. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? You got to reflect. There you go. You got to reflect and just go over like what went wrong, what went right, what could have done better, right? Or you can skip all the grunt work and just again let Gextron do all the heavy lifting for you, right? Because Gextron shows you the real levels, the real flow, and the real pressure. I'm going to show you something here. Okay. I'm going to show you a trade that we took today for MicroStrategy. Okay. This was a real trade that we took earlier, and we took it twice. I believe it was like a 10% return, maybe like a total of 20-30% return. Okay. At open, it was red. Okay. But then we did this all on the Telegram channel, all in live Zoom. Okay. And what I was showing to the team was that, let me clean some of this stuff up. Okay. Was that price action started to reverse back up hard. Not just aggressively not just aggressive to the upside, but also with volume. Very, very important. And we were going past a previous candlestick that had high volume on a selling pressure right here. This candlestick right here. High volume candlestick. So what this tells me as a trader is that around these levels, around 400, which is P-trans level, P-trans is just short for positive transition to a bullish sentiment, right? From negative to bullish sentiment. If we get above this 400, this previous week high, we can take it to the upside, right? We can take it to the upside, and we can aim for the next areas of interest, which is 420, or even this 415, which is there's some high volume, some sort of a high volume pressure right there, right? And so what happened is that early in the morning, I said, hey, I'm going to hop into MSTR calls for, I think I chose 425 for this week. And what happened was that we got above P-trans and we were holding above it. So the thesis was simple, right? As long as price action can remain above P-trans level on this 30-minute time frame, then it's a bullish sentiment. It's a strong support zone, which has been shown here with time, right? And also Gextron is telling us. We can take a look at the MSTR Gextron levels. Okay, so 400 has been, so it's this 4 level. Now you may, in here you may see like, well, it's not a tall bar. That's okay. It doesn't have to be a tall bar. Just know that P-trans level is a very strong zone because it's the first positive bar, and all the higher strikes are all positive bars. So this is where actually bullish sentiment starts, right? And that's an important level. It's the same thing for N-trans. N-trans is the opposite. It's the first negative bar, and all the lower strikes have to have negative bars. So in this case, It doesn't start negative until now. We don't do this because there's a lot of flopping around. If you look at the net strike here, you'll see it's positive and negative. So we call that the drunken sailor area. You want to avoid that. But if it gets down to 387.5, everything is negative, right? And so that's the start of N trans level right here at 387.5. Anyways, this is P trans level. We marked this level. That is a strong level of support for us. And now the thesis is really simple. Okay, as long as we remain this level, we can start aiming for the next area of interest, which is 420, right? And that's exactly what happened. We got into our contract. We even got June contracts too. And we took it to the upside. And we sold around this area because we noticed that as price is going up, volume is decreasing, right? So what this tell us, again, price action alone, you can't do it. You got to mix it with things, is that yes, it's going up. It doesn't mean that you have to sell, but just know that buyers are getting exhausted right now. This can change, right? This can just skyrocket with high volume again. But we have to pay attention to that. Okay. And also there were some puts coming in earlier for MSTR. So things to be aware of, and just take your profits when you get the chance, and then that's it. Find another setup, right? So that's that. That's why Gextron works. Okay. You know where market makers will defend, and you see where option pressure builds up, right? So there's no guessing, no clutter, no fluff, because it's all math. But Gextron does that all for you. You don't got to do any of the heavy lifting. And just a clear view of how market really works and where the best trades are, right? At least to give you the highest probability trades. So the final word here was that candlestick patterns alone might work once in a while, but if you want real consistency, real edge, you need more. Okay, you need to add things to it. And again, Gextron gives you that edge for sure. Okay, that's why folks like Siraj increased their portfolio up to 58%, currently at 25, right? Why Sewell is scoring huge on all these trades using Gextron. Okay, I actually posted one here. This is just Gextron. He messaged me on Telegram saying Gex is awesome, is a monster, right? I mean, they're winning, right? So this stuff works. Okay, so stop trading in the dark, start trading with insight, and then you could use Gextron for a 7-day free trial if you want to give it a shot. You'll get access in those 7 days to the Telegram channel. So I'm there to give you instant chat support. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or what your thoughts are. Or if you want to try out any of this stuff, I'll put a couple links in the description, and I'll also put the link to this article in there. All right. So I hope you have a good day. I'll see you in the next one.